In high school, I had my first ceramics class, and it was right away that I was sort of drawn to it. And I don't know what exactly it was. I think it was just the material and how, it leaves the mark. Your hand impressions and how you manipulate it is left in the clay, and I think that was really fascinating to me. I'm from a family my father's a builder, and so I think I enjoyed working and thinking in volumes and in shapes. I think with the blue and white, it sort of struck me as this enduring history, right? Blue and white started in China and Asia. It was one of these first products that was like globally traded. It went to Europe, and then it went, beyond, and then there was this whole interest in appropriation. So then, and then over the hundreds and hundreds of years, it's everywhere. There's a blue and white tradition all around the globe, and sort of that history that you can trace, the fact that it is familiar no matter where you are in any part of the world, that history is fascinating to me. My hope is that it is familiar and that it brings people in, and then if you were to stay a little bit longer, then perhaps there might be this shift, and that object at first glance that was beautiful and familiar on a longer viewing might maybe become a little bit vile or unsettling. My hope is that there's this contrast within a piece, and I don't know if I mean for that contrast to undermine, but I'm interested in that sort of duality, that sort of liminal space. I tend to collect imagery, I fumble through them, and I look, and maybe I pause and I sketch. I listen to the news constantly, or when I'm reading, and I write lots of notes. And you'll see, like, if I show you my notebook, or Post-its everywhere. And when I'm making a particular piece, I'm not trying to replicate or anything sort of specific. I might have a jumping off point, like the large-scale flower pyramids, just seeing the image of it and being fascinated with that form, and then learning the history and how, in particular, those forms were exotic novelties to be collected, an object to show wealth. With Trophy Wife, there is this referencing of the female body and the figure. The idea of sort of the superficial, like Botox or things that a woman might do to become a certain standard or what is expected. It's obvious that stereotypes are bad. They're insidious because they're sort of easy and they're used often. But then, most people are complicated. But I think in general, women, especially who are powerful or in public positions or, in politics, and they have some sort of public persona, they tend to be criticized and talked about in a different way than their peers. The way that they're talked about is sort of like as an object. The other objects that I use in my work, which tend to be dishes and plates, there's an intent there, and that it sort of references the domestic realm, and there's this idea of femininity there. And so I'm beginning with this strong association with femininity. I think about clay in this way historically. Like when I first was introduced to it in this historic way, it was like how civilizations are known, right? It's by their pottery shards that have left behind. So it's always sort of fascinating to me. On a day-to-day, I think about like, what does it mean to be working in clay in this digital age when there's technology, whether there's sort of that familiar traditional blue and white or this sort of domestic realm that sort of brings you in. I'm hoping that if the viewer stays longer, that there's like this shift that happens within the piece. And it's not just beautiful, but there's something else there.